You know what? Credit to Heidenheim. They put up a pretty solid fight against us, but in the end, like many others, they were no match for the mighty Chelsea. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel today. My name is the Crimson Wolf and welcome back to the Blue Review for our Conference League game versus Heidenheim. And this was by no means a comfortable game for us. Throughout pretty much that entire first half, it looked very even between the two sides. I think that does come down to the fact that we did underestimate them quite a bit in this game. I don't think we expected them to be this competitive. Heidenheim are arguably the best team in this competition, outside of ourselves, obviously. But up there with the likes of Fiorentina and some others, they are one of the better teams in this competition. I think we underestimated them a little bit. I thought we were just going to walk all over them. But they ended up being a tougher challenge. The goalkeeper had a brilliant game. They got in some decent chances. And overall, I think they just played quite well. But in the end, they felt like all those before them. So, really, it's a pretty simple game for Chelsea. If you are new to the channel around here, please allow me to give you a quick overview of what to expect. Basically, I go through 8 points from the most recent game, Lampard's famous 8, as I like to call it, and I give them all a card depending on whether I thought it was a good, mid, or bad performance, those cards being blue, yellow, and red. And of course, there is the almighty gold card for the man of the match. So with that being said, I will jump straight into the cards for this game, beginning with one red card for this game. And for once, it's not Robert Sanchez, because he didn't play a single second of this game, so he's not on this, of course. But it is for Axel Disasi, and I just thought he looked so weak in this game. He was the captain coming into this game, and this was not a captain's performance from Disasi. He just looked so unfocused, so weak, so vulnerable, really. Their left wing, I'm not entirely sure what his name is, was just beating him a lot of the time. It was obviously towards the end of the game when he got away with a booking, really, when he fouled him just on the edge of the box. Disasi just didn't look comfortable in this game whatsoever. He was just really not it. He was also really the one responsible for Cesare Casadei's red card at the end of the game. I just don't think this was the best we've seen Disasi. He didn't play particularly well, I didn't believe. As I say, he just was at fault for a lot of the times that Heidenheim would be able to get us. They were going down his side, they were pressuring him, they were just frankly bullying him, and he just couldn't deal with it. I don't know whether that's just because he was out at right back. Obviously, that isn't his most favourite position, and if we could play Josh Chempong there, I would greatly appreciate if we did, because at least he is a natural right back, so he understands the role a lot better. He does know how to play centre back as well, but is obviously a right back by trade, so will be able to play out there. Point as well, I don't know why it seems to be a common belief that Josh Chempong is actually a centre back, but plays at right back. He's a right back by trade, not a centre back. Gilchrist is a centre back by trade who we've played at right back. So, unless they're confusing him with him, I don't know. But Josh is definitely a right back. If we get his contract situation sorted out, I would absolutely love if he were to play right back in these games, because the guy is really looking like a decent player. Obviously, the only thing we've really seen of the guy properly was his cameo off the bench versus Spurs under Pochettino. I think that we did come off the bench versus Barrow as well earlier in the League Cup this season. So, he's had a little bit of exposure there. And honestly, he's not done bad either of the times he's played. Wasn't particularly too impressed with him versus Barrow. The Spurs game, he actually played really well in about the 12 minutes. I swear he had like the most like interceptions or blocks or something in like 12 minutes of being on the pitch of any player, which was really impressive. But if we get his contract sorted out, I would 100% love for him to be the one playing right back. He's 6'5" as well, let's not forget that. He is an absolutely massive guy for his age as well, considering he's what, like 18, 19, something like that. So to be that tall at his age is pretty impressive. And obviously we know we struggle with set pieces sometimes. Having another 6'5" player in there would help us massively. So really appreciate if Josh could start playing more games when his contract gets sorted out. So hopefully we get to that. But as for Disasi, it just wasn't a good game from him. I don't know. I don't really know what to say. I don't think the right back spot really suits him because he's not naturally a right back. He's not really quick enough to be a right back either. His acceleration isn't there. His overall sprint speed might be solid, but his acceleration definitely isn't. So he's not really quick enough to get up to speed in time. So I don't really fancy him as a right back. he's a solid defender, and he's an absolute brick wall. The guy is an absolute, like, tank, basically. He's built like freaking Zeus. This was just not a good game from Dizazi, and hopefully it gets better, but we'll wait and find out. Moving into the yellow cards, and the first one of these goes to Renato Vega, and I feel a bit harsh giving him a yellow because I don't think he particularly played badly, but it is just something I want to point out, and it's actually something the commentary team were quite enthused about, which is that Renato Vega's lackadaisical, laid-back approach to the game, or at the very least this game specifically. What we've always liked about Vega, or at the very least myself specifically, is his intensity, his physicality, his just overall size and bullying players that he goes up against. We didn't really see that in this game, I don't think. He did just look a bit laid back and lackadaisical, and like he wasn't really in the game that much. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh. I mean, I know a lot of people have said he played well, but it is just something I really want to point out, because whenever we see him come off the bench in the Premier League for Cucurella, he is doing that. He's making tackles, he's pressuring and bullying anybody he goes up against. Didn't see that in this game, and I think that's where Vega's strong suit is. He is a 6'3" man mountain. He is more than capable of bullying and destroying anybody that goes up against him, and that's what I want to see from him. We were getting pressured way too much in this game for my liking, and maybe with Vega's more physical sided presence in that backline, maybe it wouldn't have happened so much. Overall, I don't think he played badly, but it is just something I really wanted to point out, because maybe on another day it could have cost us, but for now it's a yellow. The second yellow card goes to Benoit Badiashile, and to be perfectly honest, I thought Badiashile actually played quite solidly in this game. Not as good as when he played versus Leicester, but I thought he was okay. There was nothing tremendously wrong in his game today. However, the reason that this makes it into the yellows and not the blues is for one simple mistake that very easily could have cost us, thankfully did not. And that's the absolute suicide pass to Philip Jorgensen out from the back. Basically, Jorgensen's trying to organise the defence on, I believe, the right side of the pitch, so where Tosin and Disasi are, and Badiashile has the ball, he passes it to him while Jorgensen's not even looking, so Jorgensen has to react to that quickly, basically fumbles it and plays it out, nearly gets us in trouble. Disasi leaves it as well, by the way, because he thought he was going out. They recover it, and then they end up with a shot on goal. So that very nearly could have gone so badly for us. That was a big error from Badiashile, and Jorgensen read in the right act for it. He does need to get that out of his system. Overall, I thought he played well, which is why there's yellow, not a red. But that incident did nearly cost us a little bit. So with any luck, that's out of his system now, and we can get back to the Graham Potter era Badiashile, the slick Rolls-Royce defender, and hopefully that is the Badiashile that is here to stay. Alright, moving into the blue cards, starting with the scorer of the first goal, Christopher Nkunku. Now, largely, I don't think Nkunku had his best game. However, of the 4 Conference League games we have played so far, so versus Ghent, Panathinaikos, Noah, and obviously this one versus Heidenheim, I think this is probably the most involved he's been in any of them. Now, in those previous games, I don't particularly believe he was involved as much as he could have been. The Ghent and Panathinaikos games were more evident of this, when he only really notably scored the goals in that one, and Panathinaikos, it was a penalty in that case, and he was just largely a passenger for most of the game. Now, I think the primary reason for that is because he was playing as a striker. He doesn't suit playing as a striker. I don't like it for him. I don't think he has the skill set for that. The only real thing he does possess that makes him a decent striker is that his finishing is arguably the best in the squad. So that is something that does make him a decent striker, but the rest of his overall game isn't really tied to playing as a number 9. So I don't like it when he's deployed there. The Noah game, he wasn't deployed as a striker. He was deployed as a number 10 behind Guyu, who was playing the striker. Now, I think he was a little bit better in that game. Still wasn't perfect in that game, but obviously he did get 2 goals from it, 1 from penalty, 1 from open play, which honestly it's a really good finish in that game, but again wasn't the most involved. This is probably the most involved he's been in these games, and I think that is something I really do like to see. Obviously scored the goal. It is a pretty decent goal. It's a decent finish, basically laid up on a plate for him a little bit, but he does finish it really well. I thought he was a little bit more involved. He was pressing a little bit more, not with necessarily the energy I think he probably needed to, but he was pressing. So really like that from Nkunku. Obviously, he did have a really good chance from that ball from João Felix from deep. Obviously, still onside because he was in his own half. Ran up against the goalkeeper. One-on-one. Unfortunately, it's a pretty decent save from their goalkeeper, Muller. So he doesn't get another goal. Probably should have. He probably could have done a little bit better. I think he probably should have shot a little bit earlier and he might have got it in. But, c'est la vie. Can't really judge him too much for that. He had a decent chance and it is a pretty decent save at the same time. I do need a bit more from Nkunku in these games. As I say, I think this is probably one of his better ones. But I do need more from him. I do need him to be a little bit more involved in the play. A little bit more like what we saw versus Barrow, when he was just pretty much the focal point, linking up with a lot of players on the pitch. I think he probably does need someone like João Felix alongside him, the talent with the overall skill, really. I think having Felix or someone of that ilk alongside him might make him a lot better. Wasn't a bad game from Nkunku. Wasn't a particularly notable one other than the goal. But because he did get the goal, I am going to give him blue. And speaking of getting goals, my second blue card goes to the other goal scorer, Mudryk. And Mudryk with another damn banger. This goal was brilliant. It's a brilliantly worked goal. I think the link up on the right-hand side between Dewsbury Hall and Sancho was absolutely brilliant to create this goal. And it's an absolutely stellar finish from Mudryk. Basically the same goal he scored versus Noah. Cuts in on his right foot. Bang, right into the top corner. And it's an absolutely spectacular goal. Mudryk is just getting so much better in these games. I don't particularly agree with a lot of people that say he should be starting in the Premier League. Personally, not for me. I love the guy, and I really hope he does succeed here at Chelsea. But at the minute, I wouldn't be starting him in the Prem. So, currently, the way he's performing, maybe that could change in a couple months, or maybe even next season. But right now, he wouldn't be my starting left winger in the Prem. But in the Conference League, he has been absolutely spectacular. I think short of João Felix, he's probably been our best player in the Conference League. And obviously now this is his third goal in a row in the Conference League, obviously scoring versus Panathinaikos and versus Noah. Obviously, as I said, banger goal versus Noah. So this is another banger. Hopefully he keeps going, as Seamus would say. Banger after 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 banger. And the more bangers he scores, the more likely he is that he possibly makes it into the Prem squad, and hopefully he can do it there as well. I think Mudryk's overall game wasn't particularly notable, but for that goal alone, because of how just damn good it is, I'm giving him a blue card. The third blue card goes to Cesare Casadei. Now, for the longest time while watching this match, obviously I was thinking, who am I going to give the man of the match to? And for quite a while, I was thinking I was going to give it to Cesare Casadei. Obviously, I did go on to pick a new man of the match, as you will see quite soon. But I think Cesare Casadei did play really, really well in this game. I actually don't mind that Casadei's playing as this deep-lying playmaker, kind of number 6 role. I don't think it's his perfect role. I think he is much suited to playing a number 8 goal scorer. And I would really like him to be deployed in that, should we ever be in the position where we can do that. Because I think in the box, he is really, really good. He's obviously 6'3". He can shoot. And hopefully we get to see that soon. But as this more dominating number 6, I think he actually does it really well. I have said I don't believe it's a permanent solution, and I do stand by that. Should we ever get in a situation where we do need a destroyer number 6, he would not be my first choice. I don't even think he'd be my third choice. But he can do it. And it does all come down to the fact that he is a big dude and he uses his physical power. Now, looking across the entirety of Chelsea's library of players, I think players like Andres Santos and Leslie Ugochukwu would suit this role perfectly. So, if either of them were here, I think they would be playing instead of Casadei. But he is the one here, and he's doing a decent job of it. I can't deny, every time he's played in the Conference League, I have been really impressed with him. Hopefully, we get to see a lot more of him. I have really enjoyed seeing that Casadei's been given this many minutes, because I think he is a really good player. And he's doing okay as his number 6. I thought he had a really composed game. He was winning the ball back. He was also able to progress play really nicely. So I do like this role from Casadei. Bit of a sour note ending the game with a second yellow. So he does unfortunately miss the next game. The yellow card does spoil it a little bit, but I don't particularly believe it was his fault. And I think the yellow card's probably a bit harsh as well. Bit of a mood killer, but other than that, Casadei had a really, really good game. The penultimate blue card goes to the man who assisted both of our goals in this game, Jadon Sancho. And Jadon Sancho straight up is too good for this. He 100% should be starting in the Premier League. I do believe this. He should be our starting left winger. I am 100% convinced of this, because him and Pedro Neto on either wings would be dangerous, and I absolutely love that. Jadon Sancho is absolutely perfect at unlocking low blocks, and he did that in this game. When Heidenheim had a lot of their players sitting deep, he was the one that was able to unlock them, get the assist for Nkunku and for Mudryk. So Jadon Sancho, 100%, had a brilliant game. As mentioned, both assists, pretty good assists as well, obviously for brilliant goals from Nkunku and for Mudryk. But Sancho is just too good for this, really. He was a bit quiet in the first half, I have to say. He wasn't really being allowed to let loose, really. He was just a little bit composed and a little bit watered down, I believe. But in that second half, he absolutely exploded. He started ripping them apart, really, and they just couldn't control him, I don't believe. He played really well, Sancho, and hopefully he does start in the Premier League. I don't know if it'll be this weekend. Maybe it's against Southampton as well. But I think Sancho definitely deserves to be starting in the Premier League. And I think the combination of him and Neto on either wing could be dangerous. But speaking of players that deserve to be starting in the Premier League, I move on to the final blue card of this game. And the man also taking home the all-fabled gold card, the man of the match, Philip Jorgensen. Oh my days. Philip Jorgensen is the reason we won this match. He made so many saves in this game. So many of their attacks he stopped. He was massively let down by his defense a lot. Heidenheim need to go look up what offside means, because they got caught offside at least like 4 or 5 times. So they need to go check that. But Jorgensen 100% had a fantastic game. So many saves, so many chances that he snuffed out. Obviously there's that brilliant save when he just makes himself big and just blocks the shot, and then has to immediately get up and push a shot aside from a dive. It's absolutely spectacular to watch. Jorgensen was just so good in this game, and he needs to be starting in the Premier League. I've been ragging on Sanchez for quite a while now, but after that, Jorgensen just, he should have his spot 100%. Jorgensen was so good in this game. If Maresca continues to pick Sanchez and Jorgensen continues to have these kind of performances, I don't know what to tell you. Jorgensen deserves a start after this game, 100%. Whether it's versus Villa or versus Southampton, he deserves to start at least one of those games. 100% he should be starting in the Premier League, I do believe, because he is so much better with his feet than Sanchez, and clearly is a competent shot stopper, as this game evidenced. So he is clearly more than capable of starting the Premier League. And 90% of Jorgensen's problems are the defence in front of him, because they're not really that organised between Dizazi, Tosin, Badiashile and Vega. So having a better defence in front of him, having Malo Gusto, Wes Fofana, Levi Colwill and Marc Cucurella in front of him will help him massively. And he won't be making the distribution issues that Sanchez does. So with any luck, we might not run into trouble as much. Without question, Jorgensen is our man of the match for this game. I do believe 100% he should be starting in the Premier League. I hope we get to see it very soon. And truth be told, if he plays like this in the Premier League, Sanchez can kiss his Chelsea career goodbye. So that was my review for our Conference League game versus Heidenheim. I hope you all very much enjoyed. Please leave your thoughts down in the comments below. I would very much appreciate that. And I hope you all enjoyed, and will come back for another video. But with that being said, my name is the Crimson Wolf. I am the reddest Chelsea fan on the internet, and you have all, as per usual, been amazing. And I will see you in the next one. Good luck with it.